Harry has just suffered a crushing defeat in a multi-million-dollar court battle, and Tom Bower isn't giving him any room to recover. Instead of showing sympathy, Bower has launched a wave of sharp criticism that has only added to Harry's difficult situation. Stick around until the end because Tom Bower's reaction after Harry's courtroom loss has everyone talking.
Because Harry has shown himself to be a man of absolutely not only no judgment, but a person who is surrounded by very poor advisors. This isn't just a defeat in a civil case. This is Harry being exposed as not telling the truth under oath in the King's Court. This is serious stuff. Make it clear to Harry that the Sussexes are not welcome at all in Britain for a very, very long time. Oh, absolutely. I mean, Meghan is a source of evil.
When Harry traveled back to the UK for Invictus Games preparations, his first major stop wasn't a public event, it was the courtroom. He continued his legal fight against the publisher of the Daily Mail, claiming unlawful information gathering had taken place. After reviewing the evidence, the judge rejected every one of Harry's claims. It marked a major legal setback, and reports suggest he could now be responsible for legal costs that may reach around $67 million.
Tarnished by losing a case which has cost them at least £50 million in costs. For Harry now, it's downhill faster than he can imagine.
Tom Bower says this defeat is only one part of a much bigger picture. According to him, Harry is facing several serious setbacks at the same time, making this one of the toughest periods in recent years. Another issue involves Setback, the charity Harry helped establish in honor of Princess Diana. Earlier this year, the organization became caught up in a very public governance dispute.
Reputation, because we've had controversy around the charities. He's lost control of Setback, a charity that he co-founded.
He's being sued by Setback.
And being sued.
Yes, he's being sued by Setback right now.
For defamation
For
or something?
defamation, yeah, absolutely.
By the charity?
Yes, his own charity that he started.
That's not ideal. Then you've got African Parks. He's on the board of that, and he used to be the chief operating officer of it, and they're shrouded in allegations about the abuse of African tribes. Then you've got the Archwell Foundation, or Philanthropies, or whatever it's called this week,
whatever it is,
which has effectively been shuttered. And then you've got Invictus, which is losing sponsors left, right and centre. And now this?
No, this is a major blow to Prince Harry.
Which eventually led to Harry stepping down permanently as patron. That situation added even more attention to an already difficult year. But Bower didn't stop there. He argued that when Harry first approached his lawyers with this case, they should have warned him that winning would be extremely difficult.
I'm sure he thought he was going to win because the lawyers around him kept on encouraging him. And you've got to look at the role of the lawyers in all this. They've been on a gravy train earning tens of millions of pounds because of the action against the Murdoch Empire and then against the Mirror Group. They won a lot of money. But this time, they thought they had it all sewn up because they had a concocted fraudulent statement and they didn't realize it was so phony. Until, of course, one wonders how they got it in the first place.
Instead of encouraging him to carefully reconsider, Bower believes they gave Harry confidence that he had a strong chance of success. Harry accepted that advice and continued moving forward with the lawsuit. According to Bower, the legal team continued earning substantial fees as the case stretched on through lengthy court proceedings. Meanwhile, Harry reportedly kept believing victory was within reach and continued investing huge amounts of money into the legal fight.
This has happened. It's become, for them, an absolute nightmare. And I think it's really Meghan. He's under, I said in my book, Betrayal, that he was brainwashed by Meghan. And of course, he continues to be brainwashed by her. And he is actually, I think, by now, at wit's end. He doesn't know what to do. He's been humiliated in London today. He's going to, for the rest of the week, try to restore some credibility. But in the end, he's going to fail.
By the time the outcome became more uncertain, stepping away from the case had become much harder. Bower argues that Harry underestimated the risks from the very beginning. In his view, that decision has now left Harry facing an enormous financial burden, with legal costs reportedly reaching around $67 million. According to Bower, the embarrassment doesn't end inside the courtroom. He believes Harry arrived in the UK hoping for a positive moment that could improve both his reputation and his finances.
And they've been living in a bubble. They've been living in a self-fabricated bubble where they have effectively believed themselves to be the victims.
Yes.
Well, now they're not the victims, they're the perpetrators. They're the people who have victimized the Daily Mail and all the journalists who are honest.
The Invictus Games were expected to bring positive headlines, but instead the court ruling quickly became the biggest story, pushing everything else into the background. Bauer even described the entire situation as an absolute nightmare. Bauer also claims that one of Harry's biggest weaknesses is the way he reacts to setbacks.
And Meghan, I think, was shrewd enough to realize that. I mean, you've got to be as thick as Harry not to realize that there comes a point where you can't push your luck too far. Because Harry has shown himself to be a man of absolutely not only no judgment, but a person who is surrounded by very poor advisors.
He argues that Harry often sees himself as the victim instead of accepting responsibility for his own choices. In Bauer's opinion, Harry has repeatedly made poor decisions over the years, while some of the people around him have offered advice that only made difficult situations even worse instead of helping solve them. Bauer became even more critical when discussing Harry's judgment. He suggested Harry struggles to recognize when it's time to stop pursuing a losing battle. Bauer believes financial pressure and the search for new opportunities may explain why Harry keeps fighting certain cases, but he argues those pressures don't automatically make every legal battle worth continuing.
The way he exposed the girl whose virginity he lost his virginity to,
Behind
which
a pub.
embarrassed her.
Yes.
Which embarrassed her.
Yes.
She'd kept it secret for 20 years.
Which
or
was
more.
so good of her. And I would be
absolutely.
screaming from the rooftops, you know?
Well, you don't know, perhaps it wouldn't be such a good experience. I mean, perhaps you would be ashamed too. But I mean, that's the problem with him.
In Bauer's view, the warning signs were there all along. He also believes Harry's growing confidence has gradually created distance between himself and experienced advisors who may have challenged his decisions. According to Bauer, Harry no longer has the same level of professional guidance that surrounded him during his time as a working member of the royal family. For Bauer, the biggest issue is what he sees as Harry's lack of self-awareness. He argues that Harry rarely stops to question whether a decision is the right one. Instead, Bauer believes Harry often follows the option that feels most appealing in the moment without fully thinking through the long-term consequences.
He is now shown to have created victims, not only amongst the Daily Mail journalists, but I thought in his book, for example, the way he lampooned a teacher who had a problem.
Harry may have hoped this legal battle would damage the publisher of the Daily Mail, but according to Bauer's assessment, the strategy ended up producing the exact opposite result. Instead of damaging the newspaper's reputation, many critics argue that Harry ended up hurting his own image instead. Tom Bauer points to Harry's memoir, Spare, as another example. In the book, Harry publicly identified the woman involved in his first sexual experience, even though she had kept that part of her life private for many years. That decision sparked plenty of debate and criticism. Bauer also points to Harry's stories about a former teacher, saying some personal details probably should have remained private. In Bauer's opinion, Harry often ends up drawing other people into public controversy while continuing to present himself as the one who has been wronged. Bauer argues that Harry too often blames outside people or circumstances instead of accepting responsibility for the results of his own choices.
Cannot deal with this man. We don't trust the fifth in line of succession. Well, if that doesn't cast him into the wilderness, he'll notice in a few days how it will.
According to Bauer, some companies are now questioning whether staying connected with Harry is still good for their image. He believes Harry's name now brings constant controversy and unwanted headlines, something many well-known brands would rather avoid than embrace. Bauer also says trust between Harry and the royal family has fallen apart. He believes palace officials no longer feel confident that private conversations or sensitive matters will stay behind closed doors.
And Harry now is at the mercy of the grey men who he hated so much.
Yeah.
The bee, the wasp, and the rest of these people who he loathed. These are the grey men now who will decide his fate. And he's powerless to influence it, as is Meghan.
In his view, that loss of trust has become one of the biggest consequences of everything that has happened over the past few years. Bauer argues that Harry's current struggles are largely the result of his own repeated decisions. He believes much of the public sympathy Harry once received has faded over time. Bauer also points out what he sees as an irony. While Harry has challenged newspapers over privacy issues, some of Harry's biggest commercial projects involved sharing personal stories about his own family. Bauer goes even further, claiming Harry has lost much of the control he once had over his future. According to Bauer, Outside events and the choices of others may now have a bigger impact on what happens next. He believes turning things around will be extremely difficult if the current pattern continues. Bauer also claims that some organizations are taking another look at their connections with Harry. Reports have suggested that Boeing is no longer sponsoring the Invictus Games, while other companies are said to be reviewing their partnerships. Whether those reports lead to lasting changes remains to be seen, but Bauer believes future opportunities could become harder to secure if the controversy continues. Looking at the bigger picture, Bauer believes Harry and Meghan have entered what he describes as a period of self-inflicted decline. In his opinion, they once had enormous public support and countless opportunities, but a series of decisions has gradually changed public perception. He says it has been remarkable to watch such a dramatic shift in how the couple is viewed today. And when Bauer was asked whether Meghan is responsible for all of Harry's problems, you can probably guess that he didn't hold back from sharing his opinion. So, what do you think about Tom Bauer's comments following Harry's court defeat? Do you agree with his assessment, or do you see the situation differently? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.